Okay, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We're doing Hidayah Sharif. We're doing the chapter. We are doing the chapter on Tayammum. And then the last masla we discussed was this year that if a person had some water in his conveyance, right? And he put the water himself in his conveyance. And this masla is a very relevant masla. It can even be applicable in today's age. You're traveling, you put water in the car, right? And then you decided to stop somewhere. Maybe time was going out and you read Salah and you forgot you put the water there. And now you know there's no water around here anyway. So you decide you're going to make tayammum. And after you make tayammum, hey, you checked, you remembered, hey, there was water in the car. So here, according to Imam Abu Hanifa, that whether he put the water himself or somebody else put the water doesn't matter. Either way, his tayammum will be valid. Why is tayammum will be valid? Because he wasn't wajid right? Although physically the water was there, but in his mind the water was not there. And I told you, there are many Messiah that will do that you're horrible zan. What is horrible zan? Horrible zan means more than 50% of your thought. Not a simple word you can call your predominant thought. So your predominant thought was that the water is not there. So you are faqidul ma. What are you? In technical term, what is wajidul ma? The person that know the water is there. One is faqidul ma, that you think that water is not there, right? So in his mind, he was faqidul ma. So this person is faqidul ma. So he didn't know the water is not there, right? So so technically his wuzu is or his tayammum is correct. And yes, when he never put the water, somebody else never put it. Even their Sahibain says, that the Tayammum is correct. Are you with me? Now, coming back to the Masla where he put the water there and he forgot. So what is the reason here? Right. وذكر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسول الكريم. So وذكره في الوقت وبعده سواء. So whether the time was in or whether the time of Salah was out already, but a person remembered, hey, I got water in the car, I got water in the horse cart, whatever, doesn't matter, you don't have to repeat it. Now, here, uh, here we're going to do Imam Yusuf's reasoning. What Imam Yusuf said, that if you put the water yourself there, and then you made tayammum, and then you remembered afterwards there was water there, you have to repeat the salah. Remember? Remember? This is reason. Lahu annahu wajidun lil ma. You see, no, even though this person momentarily forgot that there was water in there, but he's still a wajid ma. He still has access to water. That's what I'm saying. And then he used another masla to bolster his position. And what is a masla? He said, فَصَارَ كَمَا إِذَا كَانَ فِي رَحْلِهِ ثَوْبٌ فَنَسْيَهُ. This is like if there was in a person's rahlihi, in his conveyance, cloth and he forgot it. So just let's repeat it. Let's look at the masla first. Here, a person, maybe he was moving around with the shorts that is above his ankles, or maybe a woman, she was only moving with a maharim, she was with the mahrams, so she didn't have enough cloth to cover her whole body. And then, like, which you like in the Hanafi Madhab, your whole body must be covered except hands, your hands till the wrist, from your wrist downwards, from your ankles down, and your face, etc. Right? So she forgot she got sufficient cloth to cover her body, right? She forgot she got a abaya, whatever, and she read a sarah with lesser than normal cloth, right? So then afterwards, she remembered, hey, there is enough cloth in the car. There's a abaya in the car, which I can cover my whole body with it, right? So here, the masla is she will have to reread the salah. She will have to reread the salah. So Imam Yusuf is using this masla. He says, see, like how the woman who forgot She got sufficient cloth. She have to reread her salah. Same thing here. The man who forgot, he got sufficient water. He also have to reread his salah. Are you with me? So you saw the analogy. You understood the analogy. Are you with me? Right. So see why saying see and what that's one reason, right? And another reason Imam Yusuf he say see ولأن رحل المسافر معدن للماء عادة فيفترض الطلب. We say look here generally when a person travels, when he goes on journey, then obviously he has water with him. Nobody travels without water. Nobody travels without water. So generally عادة there's also a principle, al-adatu kal-mutahaqqaq. Remember, things that are generally found, it is like it's a reality. So generally, you do have water in your conveyance. You do have water in your conveyance. So he's supposed to go and look at his conveyance for the water. It's sunny that he thought there's no conveyance in the water because generally, when you undertake a journey, then definitely you do have water in your conveyance. Are you with me? So that's what he's saying there. He's saying, وَلِأَنَّ رَحْلَ الْمُسَافِرِ because the conveyance of a musafir مَعْدَنٌ لِلْمَاءِ عَادَةً it is a repository. It is a place of water عادة generally فَيَفْتَرِضُ الطَّلَبُ so it was necessary for you to go look and it is silly of him not to go and look. That's why he will be punished for his silliness. Or not he'll be punished, no, I mean, not the right word, but he'll have to pay for his silliness by repeating the salah. Are you with me? Right. Now, that was Imam Yusuf's proof for saying you have to repeat the Salah. Now we're going to look at what, uh, yes, Tarafain's called. Walahuma, they say, you don't have to repeat. Why? لا قدرة بدون العلم وهي المراد بالوجود. They say, look here, when you don't know something is there, that means you don't have ability. You only have ability if you know it's there. And this is similar to the mastar. Remember in the beginning, remember here in the beginning we said here, uh, the beginning that if you are out of the town, right, and you are 1 kilometer away from the town and you have no water, and so we said it doesn't mean you have to be out of the town, even if you're in the town or wherever you are, but according to your mind, the water is about 1 kilometer away. You don't have to physically research for the water. So long as your predominant thought is that the water is not within a radius of 1 kilometer, then you don't have to search for it. So same thing we're saying here. Exact the same thing. That look here, you had no knowledge of the water. You had no knowledge of the water. So if you don't have knowledge of something, how can you tap into a resource when you do not know it exists? Like simple example, maybe under the ground here, there's a lot of precious metals, rare earth metals, but you don't know it is there. You don't know how to mine it even. What does it mean to you? It means nothing to you. So same thing. ولهما أنه لا قدرة بدون العلم. There is no قدرة without having knowledge about it, right? وهي المراد بالوجود. And this is we say something is present. We'll only say it is present when you have access to it. And when will you have access? Only when you know it is there, right? Then, so that was the first answer to them. We say that he's not wajidema, he's faqidema. He's not wajidema, he's faqidema, right? Because he didn't know it was there. Then the next proof of Imam Yusuf is look here, normally a person does have water in his conveyance. So it was necessary for him to go and search. So we answer, we say, look, yes, you're right. Normally a person does have water, but normally in previous times now, when you're traveling, you only have enough water to drink. You have ma'u shurb. You don't have ma'u lil ghusl or ma'u lil wudu, etc. So, wa ma'u rahli, the water in your conveyance, right? Ma'adarun li shurbi. It is a storage place. It is a repository li shurbi for drinking. La lil isti'amali. It is not for usage of wudu and taharat, etc. That normally the taharat water, the ghusl water, that you get on the roadside, by the well, by the spring, by the by the river, etc. So, so yes, the conveyance is a repository for drinking water. It's a repository for drinking water. It is not a repository for Taharat water. Are you with me? So, because it's not generally a repository of Taharat water, it was not necessary for you to go and search for the water there. Are you with me? Now, listen nicely. The next thing is now we're going to answer Sahibain's other proof, his third proof. His third proof was that if you thought you didn't have enough clothes and then you read your salah, but after you discovered you got sufficient clothes in your conveyance, then you have to, once you find the clothes, you have to repeat your salah, right? So you say that how you, once you find the clothes or you're aware of the clothes, you have to repeat your salah. Like that also, you have to repeat your salah when you find the water, right? First thing, ومسألة الثوب على الاختلاف. This masla is not unanimous. Just look at me 1 second. If we agreed with this masla, it could be used against us. But we don't agree with it masla. Our masla is also that if you thought you didn't have sufficient cloth, right? And then you found the cloth afterwards, we also say you don't have to repeat your salah. We say the water is some. Yes, if we said you have to repeat your salah, then you could use it against us. You understand what I'm saying? If Imam Hanifa's proof was that, look here, when you find out you got sufficient cloth, you have to repeat your salah. Then you could say, Imam Yusuf could say, yeah, okay, you people, why are you saying that you have to repeat your salah when there's insufficient cloth? And why are you saying you don't have to repeat when there's water? We say, no, Maaf. We're not saying you must repeat also when there isn't water. So you can't use this against us. You can't use this against us. It's wrong to use it against us. That's what they're saying. ومسألة الثوب الاختلاف الاختلاف. Then they say, but ولو كان على الاتفاق, if hypothetically we did say so, this in Arabic called على سبيل التنازل. If we say, yeah, we also say you must repeat it, right? You know, like you must repeat it if you found afterwards you was cloth in there. So ولو كان على الاتفاق, if it was, but then too you cannot use this against us to say why you say you must repeat the salah when you didn't read with the full cloth, but you don't have to repeat at the time of water. Why? We say there's a difference. There's a stark difference. There's a jarring difference. ولو كان الاتفاق ففرض الستر. They say, look here, the compulsion of covering your sitter, yafutu la ila khalafin. It get missed not to a yafutu, it get missed when you miss it for far, right? Yafutu la, not to a substitute. What he's saying in simple was, before I do it, let me tell you what he's saying. See, for covering your body, there's no substitute in Shariat, right? You're going to read your namaz without, but for Tahara, there is a substitute. If you got no water, what's the substitute? The substitute is tayammum, you understood? So even though you had the water, but you never read your salah, we'll say no need to repeat it because there was a capable, a able substitute from the side of the Shariat, and it was tayammum. He was a capable and an able substitute from the side of the Shariat, and it was tayammum. But if you look at sitter, if we say, we don't say you have to repeat. We don't say you have to repeat. But if we do say you must repeat, you cannot use this against us because this is a very different, this to understand this here, like for example, maybe your son came to you and said, Daddy, give me 100 rand, right? So you said to him, no, why are you wasting money? Why do you want 100 rand? Then you say, but Daddy, you gave my brother yesterday 100 rand, right? And he bought him books and that. First you say, look here, I didn't give your brother 100 rand yesterday. You're wrong. So don't use that against me. I never give him 100 rand yesterday. I only gave him 10 rand, right? That's the first answer. And even if I did give him 100 rand, there's no justification for giving you 100 rand because he needed to buy necessary stationery for school. You just want this money to waste it. You understand what I'm saying? So the first thing you're saying is this cannot be used against us. This cannot be used against us. Why cannot be? Because we don't say you have to repeat it if you didn't have the sufficient cloth. And even if we do say you must repeat it, still it cannot be used against us because this reading namaz without sufficient or reading salah without sufficient cloth is different to reading it without taharat. because here, or rather, or read without wudu, because there is a badal, there is a substitute for taharat, and that is tayammum. And there is no substitute for reading without covering your aura. So that analogy is what we term in Arabic qiyasul malfarik, an incorrect analogy. The thing you're comparing to is different to the thing. Like how we say, when we say in English, when you're comparing, you must compare apples to apples. Don't compare apples to pears. They are two different things. You can't get the same result. So you are comparing two different things. He says, so you're saying, they're saying, so fafaradu sitri, so the compulsion of covering sitri means covering the body, right? Yafutu, it's lost. La ilaha illallah, not to a substitute. So if we say repeat, it wouldn't be a problem. What taharatu bil ma'i, but acquiring taharat with water, tafutu ila khalafin, it gets missed when it's missed ila khalafin to a substitute, right? Wa huwa tayammumu, and it is tayammum, right? I hope that's clear. I hope that's sufficient clear. Right, okay, read the next ibarat.
وليس على المتيمم طلب الماء إذا لم يغلب على ظنه أن بقربه ماء إنه غالب ولا دليل على الوجود لم يكن واجبا
Yeah. So look at the next ibarat. We did make reference to this. وَلَيْسَ عَلَى الْمُتَيَمِّمِ طَلَبُ الْمَاءِ إِذَا لَمْ يَغْلِبْ عَلَى ظَنِّهِ أَنَّ بِقُرْبِهِ مَاءً. مَاءً because it is the حرف التوكيد, إِنَّ أَنَّ كَأَنَّ, right? See, I'll explain it first. I did mention to you this year that look here, in Shariat, غالب الظن, what we term is predominant thought, that is a proof in Sharia. Like I told you, there's several examples. If your predominant thought say this is a lot of water here, and even if we discussed this, those that with us from the beginning, well, the original mother, according to Marifa, if your predominant thought is this is a lot of water, then even if the jas will fall in, so long as it doesn't change, etc., you can make wudu, right? So, right, ma yastakiru an naziru, which the onlooker considered. So, if you are traveling, right, and you don't have water, or you only have sufficient water to drink, etc., etc., and your predominant thought is here around here, there's no water. You look, you can see, hey, no man, there's no water here. There's, like in previous time, obviously, you just look for a natural source of water. You say, there's no well here, there's no spring here, there's no river here. Then you don't have to physically search. Your predominant thought by just looking at the terrain, looking at the topography, etc., that is sufficient to say you can make the tayammum, right? And this must is even relevant today. Maybe, like I told you, you're traveling on the road, then generally you stop by Shell Ultra or by Engine, whatever, or by the Quest, whatever. But say, for instance, our time is going out and you don't have enough water and the time is going out and you know what's in the radius. We said the meal, or in fact, you're going to discuss. You say, no, that I can see from what I can see, there is no water around here. From what I can see, there's no water around here. You don't have to physically search. All you do is you follow your predominant thought. All you have to do. That's what I say. See, وليس, now follow, understood it, now look there. وليس على المتيمم, ليس على, remember normally also in fiqh when you get ليس على means it's not compulsory, right? I say ما كان لي, not appropriate, right? So وليس على المتيمم, it is not compulsory على المتيمم, upon the person making tayammum, طلب الماء, to go physically search for the water, إذا لم يغلب, when it is not the predominant thought. I'll give you the understood translation, but when I say it's not the predominant thought. The word for the translation, when it is not predominant, Allah on his mind, right? There's a word for it. When it's not anna biqurbi, that close by is water, right? So when you don't have the thought that close by is water, you don't have to physically search. His predominant thought is good enough. So it's not that you have to physically go and look for the water. And now when you physically don't see the water, now you can make time. So this is the ease of the Shariah. Shariah is giving you an ease. That's what I'm saying. Why? لأن الغالب لأن الغالب, and there's a reasoning. One is I told you, one is that Shariah accepts that your predominant thought. That's also a proof in Shariah. Né? That's why when you, like I told you, there's many masail, inshallah, when you do the MUFTI course, inshallah, we'll put it online. There's also the qaida where you follow your thoughts. when you are in doubt in something, then you follow your predominant thought. Like your wudu, you're not sure you have your wudu broke, etc. You follow your thoughts, all the type of. There are many masai like that also. So لأن الغالبة, and that's one reason. The other reason is that غالبة means generally لأن الغالبة عدم الماء في الفلاة. When you're traveling in the countryside, etc., in the desert lands, then if there's no oasis nearby, then there aren't any natural sources of water generally. If there's a natural source of water, it is habitated. There's animals there. There's trees there. There's an oasis there. So generally, there's no water there. So so since there's no water there, and that's generally the case, there's no water there, so you're not necessary to search for it, right? ولا دليل على الوجود, and there's no proof to say there's water here also because there's no habitation, everything, right? فلم يكن واجدا. So technically, we'll say that this person he has no access to water because generally the water is not there. Hence, we'll say now it is permissible for him to go ahead and make the tayammum. Okay, we'll stop. The time is up. Just one, two more ibarat, then we'll go on to the next interesting chapter, Babul Masal Khufaini. Very interesting chapter that will start tomorrow. Also very relevant. Inshallah, we'll do nowadays. You get all these new type of socks. You get the, what they call them, the reef socks, all the type of thing. We'll examine this in detail and see is it permissible to use these type of stuff. What are the general conditions before you can use? And inshallah, we listen to that properly. We'll be able to understand and unravel all these masail as well. Let's stop there. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallahumma bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.